Welcome to another guest episode on The GURI Show. Tonight we have Rachael McBay, who's a lifelong entrepreneur and the co-owner and designer with Proven Pixel Design Studio, a company she founded to help female entrepreneurs to achieve success in their business through the support of a website that works for them behind the scenes. Rachael lives in Nova Scotia, Canada with her husband and two kids and loves the flexibility that owning her own business provides her family. Today, she's going to share her course creation journey and how she launched a tripwire or a low ticket product and made over $1,000 without being super salesy and pitchy. So let's dive in, guys. If you dream to help more people and have a multiple figure online business within the next 3 years by creating and selling online courses, this podcast is for you. Hello, coaches, entrepreneurs, dreamers, visionaries, and business owners. Glad to have you here on The GURI Show, the podcast for new and aspiring online course creators. I'm Gurvinder Kaur, and I'm here to talk about your struggles, desires, thoughts, and your journey. Also, to share with you different marketing and business strategies to speed up your game. Stay tuned and do subscribe to the show. So, I'm super excited for this episode because we have Rachael in the room. And Rachael is the website designer for female entrepreneurs and course creators. So, Rachael, over to you. I want to know, how do you help people? How do you help female entrepreneurs? And what is it that you exactly do? And how was your journey? Like, when did you start and where are you right now in your business?
Sure. So I'm so excited to be here as well, by the way. Thank you for chatting to me about my journey and my experience. So as you mentioned, I am a web designer. I specialize in web design for female entrepreneurs, more specifically like female service providers and coaches in the online space. So my journey with my business started a little over a year ago, so probably about 14 months or so now. And I decided to start my own business because I used to work in the corporate world. I had taken time off to raise my two kids, and then I knew I wanted to go back to work, but I didn't want to kind of go back to that corporate world again. So I decided to start my own business, and I went back to a skill that I'd used in the past, which was web design. And then I decided I wanted to help female entrepreneurs in particular, just because I am one and I know the struggles and I can identify as a service provider as well in particular. And so I kind of got into it. I took a course myself, actually, which is, something that I know education is fabulous. And so, and the beauty of being able to take online courses is even better. So I took a course that was really more geared toward like virtual assistants, which I knew I didn't want to be, but it helped to lay the foundation for my business. So right off the bat, I got a real appreciation for, courses in the online space. So then I launched my business, and I've been growing it ever since. And actually recently, a few months ago, another web designer I know, she and I decided to partner together. And now
that's good news.
It's really nice actually to have a business partner. So we founded what's called Proven Pixel Design Studio, which is really
a company?
Yes, it is. It's a company. And so certainly, you can obviously find us online, but we were, able to combine forces and experience and be able to deliver, that much better of not only a design, but an experience for our clients and customers.
Yeah, that's actually incredible. And I have to share something as well, because, I started my business in 2017. I started learning about this marketing and all in 2017. But I still, and I'm just totally being honest over here, I still struggle with design. I have tried my hands using different page builders, but I still struggle. And I think when someone lands on your website, it's super important that you show them the clean and the modern look so that they
Yes,
can read your message. If the
exactly.
design is not clean, your message is never going to be like, like on, like they won't get what you're trying to say. And how do you
Exactly.
actually help them?
Yeah,
So
and that's
I still
that's a
struggle
big
with
difference.
design, and I just want to know, like, how do you, like, you definitely are working with clients for sure, and
Oh,
of course you have an online course, but how do you convince clients that design is super important for their business?
yeah, so that's such a great question. And that's actually something that, I speak a lot about, whether it's in Facebook groups or presentations, even where I live. Like I live in Nova Scotia, Canada. My business partner is actually in New York. So it's really kind of cool across borders, but like I speak locally as well. And it's all about, for one, people really underestimate what a website can do for them. And I think more and more people are becoming aware, but it's not the number one marketing thing that people assume can really make you money and make you money on autopilot. So that's where I love to educate people in particular about what a website really can do for you and what you can easily change about maybe an existing website that you have to actually have it work better for you. So whether that's the design, whether that's, the words on the page, whether it's your branding, like all of the pieces that come together to really make it this incredible machine that can
Yeah.
work, behind the scenes for you. And I think that's one thing that not a lot of people realize is how important and how valuable it can be to your business. So that's,
Yeah,
that's an area I
especially
specialize.
females.
Yes, yeah, I
We're getting
agree.
there.
Yeah, for whatever reason. I don't know, but yeah. And
Yeah.
so like I love this strategy side of it. And I know funnels are obviously a word that are thrown around a lot, but people think of, different landing pages and lead magnets and all of those things. But a website can really funnel people to take a specific action, right? So whether
Yeah.
that's purchasing something or booking a call with you or buying, one of your services or packages, like it can really do that for you. It can act as a funnel. So I love that strategy side of it, and I love teaching people about how that can work for them.
And that's an amazing thing that you said, that a website in itself is enough for, it's a complete funnel in itself. And
Yes.
so I want to know, like, sometimes people find it difficult to, hire designers like on a monthly basis to create their landing pages and then the home page, because we all have different lead magnets. We all have different, sometimes we are doing a webinar or video series. So I want to know more about your course. How does it help female entrepreneurs to actually learn how to do this website designing on their own?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, the first course that I did wasn't one related to websites, which sounds really funny. But with as being a website designer, the one thing I struggle, and I'm sure a lot of course creators, especially if you're in the service industry, is you struggle with how can I take a service that's hands-on, that I have to invest my time and energy and effort in delivering. How can I change that into a course, into something that's slightly more passive, less hands-on? And I really struggled with that when it came to web design, because web design is so hands-on, right? Like all design services
Yeah.
are that way. So the first course that I created was actually one about discovery calls. It was called Discovery Calls That Convert. And I was so excited to launch it. I'm still really proud of the course, and I've had amazing feedback. And so I used instead a different piece of my business, which was my ability to convert essentially 100% of my discovery calls into clients. I had a whole system and process. So I designed a course around that and shared that, which was really rewarding to me because I was still able to help other entrepreneurs. And so since then, though, since launching my first course, it gave me the perspective as to how to take other knowledge that I have, even around web design, and use my knowledge rather than using so much the service itself to create a course, right? So like I have other courses that are coming out. They're actually just kind of in the, the final detail sort of phases, but one's around SEO for your website, because that's really important. And that's one of those things that's often overwhelming or scary or misunderstood. So that one, and also one with regards to creating like an irresistible opt-in. We know how important lead magnets are for, building our audiences, building our email list. And there's something as well that integrates so well with a website that you can use. You can either house it on your website. You can use your website as a funnel for it. All of those things have landing pages for it, all built out in your website. So there's that. And as well, kind of like a basics, like a beginner course to web design. Because like you said, it's designing, and design work is, especially if you're trying to do it yourself and you're not experienced, it can be really overwhelming, right? Like really overwhelming. So
I just mentioned, I've never been able to master it. This is one skill I've just struggled at,
Yeah, so that's where I'm doing a course that's so I use Elementor, which is one of the builders. There's a number of them out there for WordPress. So I use Elementor, that's what I specialize in. And so what I've done and my business partner have done is we've created website templates that are all done for you, like all the pages you could possibly need, whether you're a coach or a service provider, that you can just put your own content in, your own branding, your own photos, and it's then done. Like you can literally launch it in a week. And so that's why we've created these courses to complement that piece, right? So we're trying to it's shifting the way you look and think at things. And I know that when it comes to courses, but it's hard at first to figure out, well, what do I have that I could offer?
And while you were sharing about this, templates, I just happen to remember that I've tried, these plug and play templates, and I always mess up. Why? Because there's a certain way that image looks on that template, and I'm gonna put my own, out of the blue, a completely messed up image. Not messed up, but
but different image sizes, different,
yeah, and it just changes the entire look of that template, and I'm like, what did I do wrong? I mean, why now it isn't looking good? what just changed?
Yeah, but you know what, that's where for us, one thing that I did a little bit of before my first course that I created was some market research. I learned afterwards I could have done even more market research for sure. But that's one thing for, these courses, and in particular, the one that partners with the template to walk you through it, is doing that market research. Like, where are the gaps? What are people missing? What experiences have they had before, right? How can we do this better? How can we deliver something that, checks all the boxes and can tell them hey, if you're putting in an image and it's a different size, here's what you need to do.
You just heard me.
So it's really just for me, it's all a learning experience, but it's really just touching base with those people who you're creating the course for, and really understanding, asking, have those, virtual chats with them, have in-person chats with them, ask in groups, right? Do the market research piece first, which is I think a piece a lot of people don't realize you need to do, or they don't invest enough time in doing that piece.
And I believe that, if your market research is, you've really done the exercise and if you really spent time on it, most of your job is done. You are saving so much time and money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super easy, super easy to actually get that momentum in just 1 year, Otherwise, people spend 2-3 years. They struggle because they haven't done that market research properly.
Yeah. And I agree. I've seen that before. And that's one thing I'm really trying to avoid too, is where you see people launch courses that don't sell either, right? Because they didn't validate whether it was the right offer for the audience they're trying to sell it to. And they didn't really understand what problem they needed solved, right? So that's something is the forefront of what we're doing when we're designing out our courses now, is really getting in touch with and talking to people and doing that, enough research in advance to know, hey, this is something they want, and this, has everything they need.
So we just got an incredible tip over here at the device that even if you are not in website niche, even if you are in any other kind of niche, you still need to do market research. This is for the listeners, Rachel, not for you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We definitely need to do the market research. So my next question is not like a question, but I just want you to share about how was your like launch journey. Also, when did it actually begin? Because course creators kind of start working on their course like day one, but then it just takes them so much time, sometimes 3 months, 4 months, 6 months to launch their course. So how was the pre-journey? When did you actually begin? And then how was the like launch journey? And
Yeah.
after that, the post-launch journey.
Yes, because that is such an important part as well.
Absolutely.
um, so I think it took me, because my course, I was offering it at a lower price point. That was, my strategy to begin with, right? Especially it was my first course. I didn't want there to be barriers, and I knew my audience, so I was going to be selling at the beginning for $37. But at the same time, I wanted to offer a lot of value for the $37, right? So it took me about really to put together all of the materials for it. And so I guess I did market research for probably about a month in advance. I tried not to get stuck in each phase, because I know that happens too, right? Where sometimes you don't move any
Yeah.
further. You just keep spinning your wheels. But I had actually coached a number of people just like for free, who I'd met online, friends and stuff, with discovery calls, because that was the first course I'd done. So I had coached them. So I went to them and asked them, for feedback and input, and did my market research online in mostly Facebook groups, because that's kind of where, my target market was. So that was about a month. And then it took me about probably, I'd say, 2 months to put the course together, and like the sales kind of pages, those pieces, right? So, all of the videos and the PDFs and everything, and then really try to put together the content to have, a sales page that would convert, right? So that took about 2 months time. And then I actively sold it, I would say, for probably about 4 weeks. That included in, Facebook groups. I was a guest in other Facebook groups where I was able to, talk about the kind of content of it, give a few tips and things, strategies away, and then be able to sell the course at the end. So that was one. I have a Facebook group of my own, which is Unstoppable Female Entrepreneurs. And so within that, even though at the time, I didn't have a very big audience, I believe I had, maybe 200 people, I guess, in the group. I was actively in that group selling it. And then I had an email list of, I want to say, maybe like 100 or something. So it wasn't, a big audience in that sense at the time.
And
But
actually, I just want to add one thing. I just want to add one thing, that it doesn't matter if we have a small email list or like, a small Facebook group. If the audience is super targeted, if they are actually our, prospects, our target audience, even then, like the launch can be like super profitable.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that, because that is true. Like mine was at a small price point, but I feel like, if I had even half the number of sales that I did at a higher price point, like it would have been insane. The kind of
97 or 147 or like
Yeah,
80.
exactly. Yeah, and you're right. And because I had my Facebook group was smaller, but I had a really active, dedicated Facebook group. Like, so they were the right people. I purposely had made sure, I was attracting the right kind of audience. So yes, I'm so glad you pointed that out, because I know a lot of people get stuck in that too. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I have to have this huge audience, otherwise, I won't sell anything, and it's not
It's
the case.
actually super strange that sometimes people take 6 months, 1 year to grow their Facebook group and then plan to launch. And in that time period, so many other people hop into your group and then take away your audience.
It's true. I have seen that as well,
Yeah,
right?
and that happens. We cannot stop it. It's not
No,
something that we don't do.
no.
We also do. We participate in other groups, share our knowledge, and then bring those people in our Facebook groups.
Yep,
So
it's true.
I suggest that if you have a Facebook group, you should keep on doing launches, like not big launches, but like super like soft launches every 3 months.
Yeah,
so
that's
that
a
your
good idea.
audience stays with you.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. So yeah, I guess it was about like a month that I was actively promoting it. I had done a challenge actually in my group, and it was one all around confidence, because that related to discovery calls. That's a lot of like, that's why a lot of people struggle with discovery calls. They don't like sales, or they don't feel confident in their ability to sell, and they get nervous and all these pieces. So I did a confidence challenge that related to that, and kind of really sold it on the back end there. I can't remember exactly. I think I could probably do the math, but I can't remember
That's all right.
exactly how. Okay, I was gonna say how many people bought, but I do know, like, I had that, and I had sort of like a tripwire on the back end of it for
Okay.
all of the email swipe files that you might need. Kind of like before, during, and follow up of a discovery call.
Mhm.
And it was a 4-figure launch, so that was really nice. Like that was
Yeah,
like it was,
super
I don't
great.
know, but it was over $1,000, and for a $37
Yeah,
course.
it's a great
But
number then.
yeah, I was very happy with that. Now, the piece that I didn't know, which you had mentioned at the beginning, is I didn't know after this initial launch, I didn't know how to keep promoting it, right? I didn't know when to bring it up again. I didn't know how to
Yeah.
go about that. And also, I think I didn't understand how, like, actually, it's kind of funny. I come from a marketing and sales background, but online is very different from not, in a way. And I
Totally.
didn't realize how many times I had to be posting and sharing about it. You kind of get this feeling that you're being spammy, but you're not, because the algorithm doesn't always show everybody everything, and so on and so forth. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
there was a lot I learned after the fact, of like, okay, what do we need to do that I hadn't thought? It was like, oh, all this build up to this big launch, and you launch, and it's so exciting, and the sales are running in, and then you're like, now what? Right? So that's something, definitely I would recommend, having a plan after your initial launch, how you're going to keep drumming up sales.
I was actually about to ask you, like, what was the one lesson that you learned? Because I think first launches always give us like 3 or 4 or 5 lessons.
Oh
That
yeah.
this is, in fact, every single launch teaches us something or the other. So I just wanted to actually about to ask you that what was the one lesson, and I think we just got it.
You
That
did. That's
plan
exactly.
before you.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
of course, creatives struggle over here that they know how to, even in sometimes, they know how to actually get people in their funnel, but then what to do after that.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
super important to keep people in the funnel.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the piece that I didn't know. I'd worked so hard on building the audience, getting the right people in my audience, doing the market research, putting together a course, so on and so forth, that I didn't have like the next step. I didn't have the next piece that would follow that. I didn't have, the next thing on the value ladder. I didn't, I was missing that whole piece. And so that, like you said, like that is definitely my biggest learning piece is, and like kind of like the biggest tip for sure, is like have that after launch plan. And like you said, how are you going to keep them in the funnel? Like, what are you going to offer next, or how are you going to continue to market the course that you've
Yeah.
launched? So yes.
And how much time have passed since then?
So I would say that was, I'm trying to think when I launched. It was last fall. So for now, it was probably about 3 or 4 months ago. And to be honest, I didn't actively continue to promote the course, because it was such a good learning experience for me. And I will promote it again at some point, but it was such a good learning experience for me that when I first, as I mentioned, like struggled with how I could take web design and do some form of course or knowledge piece around that I really struggled with as a service provider. Once I did this course, it kind of just opened the door to say, like it kind of flipped the switch in my head on how to think about what I could offer and provide that would relate to web design. So that's where I'm really focusing on getting those other courses out the door, launched, and having that proper plan, not only leading up to the launch, but afterwards, that, you know, that ongoing funnel in place. And then I'll have that as part of like, not a course suite, but as part of one of the courses that I'll continue to market for sure in the future.
That's incredible. And I just want to know, like, oops, the question just went poof. That happens.
It does.
So I want to know, like, after people join your course, because so many course creators, like I said, they bring in people, but because you're dealing with different kind of individuals and they always have different struggles, they face different like pain points and all. How do you deal with different students in your course?
Yeah.
Like if you're offering one-on-one or a group coaching call?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, one of the big things about that I've learned is to really listen to the differences of
That's
people
amazing.
and their different needs, and to make note of that. Like I actually keep track of that. I even, as far as my like Facebook group goes, which is, really, I try to make it so that it's, my ideal audience. I upfront ask them in the questions, like, what are you struggling with? And it's the same thing, people who've taken my course, is following up with them. Like what's missing from the course? Where are they struggling? How best do they learn? What, like to answer those. And then not only that, like I've been able to pull other course ideas from them and from my audience by just simply asking. Like, I think that's one thing that we forget to do, is to ask. Like, we think we always know what everybody wants, but as you mentioned, everybody's different, right? So we need to ask them, actively be asking them and engaging with them to find out, what can we be doing better? What's missing? What else can I offer that complements what, the course you just took from me, right? So that's what I've been actively doing.
Yeah, and that's such a great advice you just gave, because like you said, people don't ask course creators, especially females. They don't ask, and they end up losing customers, and we never want to lose customers. We just want them to be in the funnel. So, and sometimes, it's okay to just keep one course, but then we should always have a backup, like a second course or like a group coaching or a one-on-one. That should always exist in your plan.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So what? Yep.
Oh, go ahead.
You were saying something?
Oh no, I was just going to say, and like that is the thing with with the more web design or website related courses, is we offer custom, right? Website design, obviously. And then, we have the templates and we have the sort of semi-custom, but it's always thinking about the journey that they're going to go on, right? So they may take a course from us on SEO, but maybe then the next, thing is they have a website that they realize is just not working for them and just needs a complete redesign. So then it's like, are they going to buy a template next? And always having, the next kind of step and service or course available for them, right? So, so that it can lead, like you said, to a one-on-one, which would be more of our custom design, right? So I love that you point that out, like the importance of keeping them in the funnel, and really just, again, like the whole piece is just understanding their needs and delivering something that's going to, solve their problems, right?
Yeah. So everything till now has been just, looking absolutely perfect. Let's just shift the energy and talk a little bit about the vulnerability. And so your struggles, like what struggles? Because it's just been like a year or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that you are yourself also facing, struggles and different kind of mindset issues. Just share one of your struggle.
Yeah. So,
And the story.
yeah, no, for sure. So, in particular, I mean, this has come up a number of times, and I think this is something that everybody relates to, but not enough people talk about, is that that imposter syndrome. I know we hear that word a lot, But I feel like in business, you know, like you have that when you first launch your business, you have that as you continue to grow your business, provide, you know, different services, really expand your boundaries. It always comes up. And I know when I was providing like my first course, the Discovery Calls That Convert, even though I had so many people who I had just shared on the side and helped them out with, you know, their calls, and I knew what I was providing was working for them, and they would, you know, shout from the rooftops like, "Oh my gosh, you just like helped me land another client," and all these things. I still had this internal monologue that would, when I was thinking about creating the course and even starting to create it, that kept saying like, "Well, who are you to offer a course on this?" You know, like, you're not an expert, you know, there's other people out there that know more than you, or there's, you know, people who specialize specifically in this, that, and the next. And it was this like, you know, monologue that it's hard to shake. And so I love that you pointed out about the mental struggles, because for me, that really was the biggest thing. And that comes up, you know, all the time. And it's just, I always try to reframe it and think about, you know, there's always going to be somebody out there that I can help, right? Like, I don't have to be 50 steps ahead. I don't have to be 10 steps ahead. I don't even have to be the expert that everybody knows their name as soon as you say, you know, like, "Oh, I need help with interest," or this, that, the next thing. I just have to be someone who knows and can understand where somebody else is and get them from there from A to B, right? Like, know that process that's going to work. So that's an ongoing struggle. And it's one that I think, again, like a lot of people can probably relate to. But again, I don't think people talk about it enough. So for me, that was huge. And it took a lot of, you know, talking to friends and other people who, you know, own businesses in the online space that I knew and connected with. And it was really helpful. Like, I got a lot of encouragement, but I still had to work through it on my own, right? And, you know, tell myself that story.
We have to. Sometimes we do get help. We can ask for help as well. We can connect with life coaches and all, but I think most of the work we have to do ourselves.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we really have to.
Coach.
Yeah. Go ahead.
A life coach can give us tools and resources, but then eventually we have to implement it.
Yeah, that's such a good point. That is true. Definitely.
So, Rachel, it is, you know, incredible that we are discussing all these issues, but let's summarize. Let's not, because I am sure that we can go on and on, you know, talking about these things, but we have to keep it like, you know, in 30 to 40 minutes range. So if I ask you to summarize everything that we discussed and give one advice, like something personal, something that you want to share with the new and aspiring online coaches and course creators, female course creators, what would that advice be?
Yeah, so my biggest advice is to not give up, okay? To tell yourself a different story and push through fear. And that it's okay to ask for help, because I don't know why that is, but I feel like, I know people always say, "Oh, that's men, they don't like to ask for help." But I also feel like women in business don't ask for help often enough. We want to always make it seem like we have it all together and like everything's great, and it's okay to ask for help. And I think that's a really good thing. And so when it comes to a course, right, it's okay to ask for help. If you don't know how to build a course, if you don't know how to market a course, like, we're not expected to know those things, right? So ask for help there. If you're doubting yourself, you're doubting your abilities, talk to somebody who knows you well and knows what you can do, right? It's okay to ask them for help too when you're, you know, having that moment of like, I can't do this, I don't know what I'm talking about, that kind of thing. So really, like, push through fear and don't be afraid to ask for help, because that's, you know, those were big things that helped me in my journey for sure.
And I'm super glad that you mentioned that, because so many females out there don't ask for help. Plus, I want to add to that having a website is super important for your business, females out there.
Yes, so, that too.
If you're looking for any kind of help, custom templates that kind of speak your language and suit your branding, go ahead and connect with Rachael. Rachael, can I get your website link? I mean, can you spell your website name?
Yes, sure. So my business is Proven Pixel Design Studio. So it's proven, I don't know if you want me to spell it all letters, but it's proven and then pixel, Pixel, designs with an S at the end, .com. And I have a free resource too for either anybody who has an existing website that they feel isn't working for them, to its best ability, or if you're just thinking of starting your first website and you're just not really sure how to optimize it. So if you go to that same website address, provenpixeldesigns.com, and you do /money making, all one word, there's an awesome money making checklist there. It's all the must-haves that you need for your website to really have it work for you behind the scenes to make you and your business more money.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I would definitely visit that page.
Yeah, we made sure to
Because
keep
my website.
well, we made sure to keep everything as easy as possible too, because I know website stuff can overwhelm. So it's like a simple checklist of so many things you could do today that would literally start making you more money from your website.
Yeah. So we are having such an incredible chat, but I would, with a heavy heart, like to end it here. And I'm sure I would definitely want you to come on this podcast, when you're having a second launch or third launch, be a repeat guest.
That would be awesome. I'd be happy to.
Yeah, so we want to end this episode over here. And if there's anything that you want to share, like one word or one statement or one sentence, anything that you want to end up this episode with, go ahead and share that.
Sure. So honestly, I just want to say that you can do it. Every woman can be a successful business owner. So don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt your abilities, and seriously, just go for it. You can do it.
Super glad to have you here, Rachel. Thank you so much for being such a supportive guest. And talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Bye bye.